European nations that allow corruption, undermine the rule of law or meddle with courts will be stripped of funding, according to a new draft law approved by the EU Parliament. Broadly backed by MEPs, the Commission's proposals have set the stage for fraught talks between Member States at the next budget and ahead of European elections. Well, the Commission's plan has been viewed as a way to put pressure on countries like Hungary and Poland, who've been accused of undermining EU law and values. Well, Petri Savama, a Finnish member of the European People's Party, co-wrote the Parliament's proposals. He said that the regulations were necessary to stop politicians exerting their power in the wrong way.
Once the rule of law is questioned, the path to the keys of Pandora's box is open to walk. Because, my dear colleagues, democracy is never perfect. Democracy, through elections, can produce governments and leaders who are tempted to take that walk to Pandora's box and see if they can control it. The present available legal mechanisms in the Union do not stop governments on this dangerous path. And this is why we have this extremely important regulation in front of us.
But with the vote coming just a few months after the EU triggered disciplinary procedures against Hungary for undermining democratic rules, one Hungarian MEP, Tamás Deutsch, voiced his concern.
Whatever happens, the EU cannot adopt a decision which introduces measures that go against the rule of law in the name of protecting the rule of law. The Commission proposal is bad and has been worsened by the Parliament.
We're joined now from Brussels with analysis from Maeve McMahon. Well, good morning, Maeve. Well, as we've been hearing, there have been disciplinary procedures against Poland and Hungary already. But will this, could this potential law have more impact? Could it be more effective?
Absolutely, for sure, Isabel. One thing to remember, though, this is just a proposal at the moment. It's something that EU watchers and onlookers have been talking about and calling on the Commission to propose for a couple of years in order to put pressure on Member States they believe are not behaving in the right way, in a liberal way and respecting EU values. And it's a proposal that the European Commission put on the table last February 2018, was backed yesterday by the majority of MEPs in the House. And we saw Gunther Oettinger, he's the European Commission for Budget, saying that this was not about punishing or sanctioning EU member states. It was just making sure that EU funding was being used in the right way and that it was being respected. And it's also the European Commission finally realising that only by using or waving this stick that they can use, which is really trying to attack really the funding that many EU member states are receiving. This is the only way that they'll be able to put pressure on member states, of course. Now, they didn't name and shame yesterday in that proposal, and they wouldn't dare to do so, the European Commission, but there is an awareness that countries like Hungary, like Poland and Romania are receiving the most from EU funding, and they're the countries who are the loudest and shout and scream the loudest when they're criticising the European Commission constantly.
And Maeve, well, you mentioned Hungary, Poland and Romania. Well, tension has been mounting, as you were saying, between those countries and the EU, hasn't it? Absolutely. It's been coming to blows for quite a while, and we've already seen the reaction from from Hungary already yesterday from a spokesperson there. He put out a blog post saying this is just pure blackmail. He said it was yesterday the European Parliament pro-immigration forces attacking Hungary. He said they were all in favour of George Soros, and they were forcing countries like Hungary to accept migrants. Again, the Hungarian government turning this issue, like a number of issues, into a migration issue. But what we've seen really is a realisation in the EU institutions, in the European Parliament as well. We saw it this week in Strasbourg, that constant Brussels bashing is not improving the credibility of the European project. We saw a number of MEPs this week very frustrated with MEPs like Nigel Farage for helping to bring down the institutions and spending the majority of his time as an MEP criticising the institutions. And yesterday was when he was being interviewed by Channel 4 when he told them that he took actually a private plane to travel from London to Strasbourg. I could see a couple of MEPs coming behind him, putting their thumbs down and rolling their eyes to heaven. And meanwhile, the European Parliament, ahead of their elections coming up in May, they've put out a big campaign which says what Europe has done for you, and they actually focus on all the regions and villages and towns all around Europe and show exactly where EU funding has been used, so that next time you go on a hike, for example, you know that it was actually EU funding that helped look after that nature reserve near your house.